Hi, Terry here, and welcome again to Times Gone Tech. I thought with this video, I might just take a few minutes to kind of summarize what I've been doing, where I'm at, where I'm going with this homemade DIY percussion cap series of videos, so you kind of know what's going on without having to watch every single video that I published on this subject so far, unless, of course, you just want to. So I started with this kit that I got on the internet from a company called 22LR Reloader. There's some other sources to get them from also, same kit. It basically comes with this little two-piece steel die for punching out caps from whatever metal you want to use, and this kit of 4 ingredients. Now, the method for making the caps, of course, is you mix these ingredients dry on a sheet of paper, and then you scoop a little bit into each cap. The instructions say to fill the cap level full. Then you add a drop of acetone into each cap, and you let it cure out for 24 hours, and you got your percussion cap. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with the details of everything that I've been doing. If you've seen the playlist, you know I've been doing a lot. But the very, very short version of that here is, I started with that. I went to a slurry load method. I eliminated the glass. I made my own extra hardener. Some people use like a Duco cement, nitrocellulose, a little shellac, something like that to just keep the primer in the cap better. I dissolved 3 or 4 tablespoons of a double base nitrocellulose nitroglycerin smokeless powder in acetone, and I used that, and added a little bit of aluminum to the mix to turn it into a magnum. So this is producing a good cap. Now, I recently made up 100 of them, and I just test fired all 100, and they all worked great. I've got no fires and only a few weak fires, which may have resulted in a misfire on the range, or if a spark had gotten through the touch hole into the main charge, it would have gone off anyway, maybe with a hang fire, who knows. Now I'm working on making these water resistant. Oh yeah, and somebody had mentioned one time, how do I know any fire is getting through the nipple? Maybe it's all just going bang and sounding pretty, but nothing's getting into the main powder charge. Well, yeah, it's blowing smoke all the way out the end of the barrel. So yeah, it's getting into the powder chamber. And at the end of that 100 rounds, when I took the cylinder off, I could still see daylight through the nipples. So that was before cleaning. So nothing's clogging the nipples up. So I'm going to be going to the range soon and start shooting them. I got some more made up, curing out, and I'll be doing some target shooting, and we'll see what happens. Now I'm working on making these percussion caps waterproof, or at least maybe water repellent, water resistant. Yeah, just started on it, not having much luck. Well, actually I am, it's bad luck, but I've been having some negative results. However, off onto the side, I've started running another set of experiments. Now, I haven't filmed any of these yet. This is all off camera. I'm still in the early development stages, but what I'm trying to do is eliminate the antimony trisulfide, because if you use this Primol, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't use it, when antimony trisulfide burns, it produces a really persistent, strong, and in my case, quite annoying orange stain. Basically stain your revolvers orange. And well, that doesn't seem to bother some people. It just bugs the hell out of me. I don't like it, and I want to get rid of it. So I'm working on essentially developing my own formula or my own version using Primol as a base, and then shifting over to the side and moving off to try and eliminate that antimony trisulfide. And to understand the problems that I'm running into, it's really necessary to understand why the antimony is there in the first place. What is antimony trisulfide? What's it even doing there? Okay, all gun primers, homemade, commercial, whatever, artillery, rifle, handgun, doesn't matter. All gun primers all contain the same 4 elements. They all contain an initiator, a sensitizer, an oxidizer, and fuel. And actually, so do matches when you get right down to it. But in the case of commercial primers, some of the ingredients that they use will serve multiple functions. So you might have an initiator that's also an oxidizer that also serves as some fuel, things like that. But you have those 4 elements, maybe not 4 ingredients, but 4 elements. Okay, commercial primers, they use a small amount of a primary explosive as the initiator. Now that can be, well, actually the most popular these days is lead styphnate, also lead thiocyanate, lead azide. There's a new one out, NAP, which is nickel amino guanidine perchlorate, which is showing some really good promise. That serves as the initiator. It's sensitive to impact, but not too sensitive. So they're not going to go off if you drop a bullet. You really got to impact it with a firing pin. They then often include another primary explosive that's maybe a little more sensitive to impact, but a little weaker. And this would be something like tetrazine, PETN, something like that. Pentaerythritol tetranitrate, yeah, PETN. And that helps ensure reliability. If the main charge doesn't go off, this probably will, which will then set off the main charge. They also include probably a sensitizer, an additional sensitizer like ground glass, and they might include powdered aluminum and sulfur as fuel, and they might include an oxidizer. A lot of them don't because the primary explosives don't need it, but if they do, then they might use potassium perchlorate or barium nitrate. Antimony trisulfide in H48 is the initiator, the sensitizer, along with ground glass, and part of the fuel. So when I remove the antimony, I'm basically removing everything in it that goes bang. Yeah. So what I'm left with is I'm faced with the problem now of finding something else that I can put in to replace the antimony, and it's still, it's still ignite, it still go off, but it's safe to handle, legal, easy to make, blah, blah, blah. And in that, I really only have one of 2 options. I can replace the antimony with a primary explosive like tetrazine or PETN, silver acetylide. I mean, there's a lot of different HMTD, there's a lot of different explosives that can be used. But I could also make lead styphnate, I could make NAP, right? Then these aren't too hard to make at home if you know what you're doing, if you have a background in energetic chemistry. But that opens another can of legal worms, which I need to check to find out if I can even do that legally without an explosive permit. For example, I know that in the UK, a person can only make 1/2 gram, 1/2 of 1 gram of explosive at a time without a permit. And that's not very much. So you're not going to get a lot of primers, with 1/2 of 1 gram unless you get that explosive permit. So is it even legal to do that? And then 2, it's kind of defeating the purpose of my wanting to develop a formula that the average home enthusiast can safely make themselves. Yeah, not my first choice. My second option is to find some other chemical or combination of chemicals that separately, just like with the Primol, are perfectly fine, perfectly safe, easy to handle, but then when combined, form a mixture that is as explosive, but not more so than Primol. And in that, again, I have had some partial success. But right now I'm using potassium perchlorate, aluminum, barium nitrate, sulfur, and ground glass. And the exact amounts, again, is not important right now because it doesn't work. Well, actually it does. It works too well. It works better than I want it to. Yeah, there's a little problem with this. It seems like the sensitivity to impact of this mixture is right at the bottom end of the threshold for reliable ignition. So if I fill the caps completely full, and then put in the acetone so it settles down a little bit, basically I'm using a full charge in the caps. It's more energetic, it's more powerful, more brisance, or as we engineers say, it's got more bang factor than Primol. I mean, call it a super duper magnum. I mean, this stuff sounds like a 38 special going off, and that's just the percussion cap, right? But if I lower the charge down to where I get the right power, then I start getting misfires. So it's one of those situations where I make one change to try and improve one problem, and that simply exacerbates another problem. But for now, that's where I am. I got this formula that really goes bang. Yeah, I need to tone it down a little bit, but when I do, it stops going bang reliably. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. And for now, the Primol is working. The slurry load method that I'm using is working. Whenever I film a shooting video or I go to the range, at least for now, do some target practice, that's what I'm going to be using. And I'll just have to live with that infuriating orange stain while this side experiment continues. Thanks for watching. I will keep everybody updated. If you have subscribed, then thank you. Please be sure and come by and watch a video once in a while, because if the AI sees a certain period of inactivity, they might eliminate you from my subscribers list, which would not be a good thing. And besides, you're missing out on all the fun. So click the notification, the share buttons, invite your friends over, friends, families, neighbors, grab a few strangers out on the street. Let's get that subscription rate up. Oh, which, by the way, I'm up to almost 1,500 now, which is doing good. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.